Welcome back. Yep, I'm back at the car club. Got a bay, brought it in last week. So I'm starting with the steering. I got to take it from the column down to, you can see that there, my rack. I am going to have to get around the header, I can't go directly. I have to do like that, so I have to use the the universal joint on the rack. There's a universal joint here on the column. Then I have to have another one in the middle, and then it'll be held in with this. So basically that will hold it in place. So I made this little bracket here, which I've put temporarily with one of these self-drilling screws. But then I'll drill these out and put proper nuts and bolts in there because I can get in behind so I can fasten that properly. It is steering, so you do want it to work. Back in my bench, I've got my sketchy lighting from home I brought here, which is really nice. So I can actually read the numbers on my tools. 17. Really helps for guys like me with old eyes. This is my universal joints that I bought for one of the other steering columns. I'm not going to be using that. So here's the parts that I am using. So this end goes onto the steering rack. So they've got a universal there. I got double D, 3/4 inch double D steering rod, whatever you want to call it there. And then a double D to double D universal in the middle. So the way I did this is I put it all together, and then I marked out where these go, and then I drilled, I don't know what you call them, divots. And the idea is that holds that in there. And then I put Loctite, on here, then the jam nut. So these shouldn't come apart. They better not come apart. Also, when it's all in there, it's really difficult to take it apart anyway, so it's not like it's going to fall apart. But I'm taking all the precautions, drilling it out like they tell you to, using Loctite, tightening everything up. So next thing I got to do is I've got to put the steering column in and get that secured, and then put this all together. So this is the steering column, which you've seen before. I cleaned up this little bracket I made here, made it look a lot nicer. I'm doing down here is I'm going to use the base plate from the steering column. I flattened it out, and I'm just holding it in with these self-tappers for now. But what I'm going to do is once I get it permanently in place, I'm going to weld this onto the column. I'm going to weld that onto the column, and then I'm going to bolt the plate to the floor. So then I'll have a seal, and it'll all be good. I'll probably be replacing some of these switches because they are a bit crusty on this, but I can do that later. All right. Okay, let's give this a shot. Hopefully I won't get in your way and you'll see what I'm doing. All right, so I took the header off just so I got more room to get in here. So basically what I got to do is I've got to put this, whatever you want to call that, Heim joint, universal joint, whatever, on there first. And then I'll slide, just simply slide, come on, it's just very easily, there we go, onto the rack. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Now don't touch it. Okay, so now I've got to put my Allen screws in there with the jam nuts and some Loctite. Do the same thing down on the steering rack. Uh-oh. Well, maybe I got to do the steering rack first because the Allen keys, there's already a place for the Allen keys to go on the steering rack, so maybe it's more important that I do that first. I'll leave this loose so I can move it back and forth, then do this the second time. Yeah, I'm going to do that first because I got to figure out how far down that is. Okay, this could take a while. Couldn't show you how I did that because there's not enough room in there. But basically, the spline on the rack, so the end like this, it's splined all the way around. It has this section in the middle here, which is sort of indented. I don't know how else to put it. And the idea is you get that to go in there. So it would go, these go in here like this, right? And then they come through. I don't know if you can see that. Comes through like that. So the idea is to get that to go in here. Then that way it locks the universal joint in place so it won't slide off. So that's what I did. I basically screwed that in. I put it down far, so I was screwing it in here and then pulled it back until I could screw it in a bit more, and then all by hand. And then once I knew that once I couldn't pull it off anymore, I knew that this was in the right spot. So then I backed it out slightly, poured in a bunch of thread locker, screwed it back down, and then put the locking nut, the jam nut on it to hold it all in place. That now in place, which you can't really, you can sort of see it down there. So that's all Loctited in. This is all Loctited in. This is all Loctited in. So I just got to get my little divot there. So I still got some play here because this is still loose. So I just got to use that. And I can move it around a bit like that. And I could also drop the column a bit if I wanted to, which might be the better way to go. In fact, I don't want to drop the column too much because then I get too much angle on here. I want to keep this angle fairly, not too tight an angle. So I'm very close there. So just as long as I got some, yeah, that's pretty much got it, I think. Yeah. I'll put this one in. I'll spin it around to look at the other hole. And if that lines up, then I'll Loctite everything together. Well, here we are. Pretty much in place. Header fits. Really tight there, so I'm going to grind a bit off the header. It's still not touching, but with the motor flexing it might. So I'm going to grind a bit of the header off there. Right by there. I don't know if you can see it. I decided not to Loctite these. The reason being, I may want to remove the steering column, again at some point before I put this car on the road. So I'm going to leave those as they are and then Loctite them and jam nut them when I'm ready to drive it, which won't be for quite a while. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment below. See you next time.